we go. All right. Hey guys, welcome to our Dream Team Monday Night Zoom. This is our last Zoom of August as a team. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe we're down to a day. If you guys were on Power Plan last night or you watched the replay last night, if you haven't, go back and watch it because all the same things, only one less day. So you have tonight and all day tomorrow to keep pushing. The beauty of a month with 31 days is it's crazy the amount of activity that happens on that last day. So keep that in mind tomorrow. Do what you have to do to get that. If you're trying to get that rank advance bonus, don't let that slip past you. If you're trying to re-rank, don't let that slip past you. Make sure those of you that have team members that are working, make sure you reach out and find out, are they going for a rank advance? Is someone on their team going for a rank advance? I know sometimes it can get hard to keep track of everything. So just do your due diligence as an upline and just, what can I do? Is there anything I can help with? And then we'll be done with August tomorrow night. It's crazy. Does anybody have any questions about August before we move into our topic tonight? Anybody? Sandra, I feel like you're unmuting. Are you typing?
I was trying to, but I have lotion in my hand. No, I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to get lit about.
Well, I'm getting ready to tell you. I'm going to tell you all about it. So if you have a pen and paper, you might want to write this down. But we're going to talk about LITTY, L-I-T-T-Y. And I will give you so I got this from a gal that's in network marketing. I was watching one of her videos and I've literally watched it, I think 7 times, just over and over and over to try to absorb all of this because I just love the way she explained it. Her name is Stormy Wellington. So if you want to look for some Stormy Wellington stuff, she was not this most recent time, but I think in 2020, she was part of Eric Worre's, what do they call that? The most influential women in network marketing or most, I think that's what they call it. But anyway, so that's how I first heard of her. She was one of the speakers when he did one of those events. So anyway, her name is Stormy Wellington, and she talks about LITTY, getting, which I just thought was funny because it's get lit, super litty. But so we're going to start with, I'm just going to go, I have tons of notes. I won't do this justice, but I'm going to do my best. So the first one, the L, is to learn. She talks about how important it is to learn about your company and to learn from the top earners in your company. So let me dive into those two things separately. Learn about your company. So a lot of us are just oh, we just love Thrive. We love it. And that's great. It's good to know about Thrive, but you need to know about your company. How long is your company being around? Who is in charge of your company? What is your company's mission? What are the new products that your company is working on? Know about your company so that when somebody asks you, you can tell them, because, obviously I don't see too many new faces, but early on, we don't know anything about the company. We don't know anything about the product. We just know that our girlfriend told us about this stuff and it works amazing. So that's great and good. But the longer you've been in this, you want to know about your company. You want to start learning about your company. And then on the flip side of that, for you personally, learn about your company. How do you get paid? What are the bonuses and benefits that they offer you? So many times people will be like, well, I don't know how we get paid. You guys, I get it. Our comp plan can be very tricky to understand. And I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it one more. When you get your paycheck tomorrow, click on where it says the report. It'll show you a pie chart. Anyway, it'll show you on that, what percentages came from where. And then you can actually go and it will show you line by line. This is the order that went in. This is what the order was. And this is how much you made off of it. I know that's boring. Trust me, I'm the girl that hates that kind of stuff, but it's important that you know this. Just for your own pocketbook, go back and look. There might be weeks that you're like, man, I'm gonna have a huge paycheck. And then you don't. Go back and look and find out why. Where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time on your personal customers? Are you spending time on your promoters downline? Are you spending time on auto ship orders, or are you spending time on promoter packs? Look at how you get paid so you can really understand where you should be focusing and spending your time. And then Lisa Fuller has 2, it's a part 1 and a part 2. So if you go to her YouTube page, you'll see it, but she breaks down the comp plan and she breaks it down and fast. So that's another one I've had to watch a few times, but learn about your company. How do they do the bonuses? What do people have to do to get the bonuses? How do they do the trips? the more you know, the better you're going to be able to explain it to someone. And also just like, I know this is a side gig, but none of you would go into work tomorrow at your regular job and just be like, well, I'm sure they're going to pay me what I'm supposed to get paid. Like, no, you would want to know, right? You would want this information. So same thing, make sure you're learning about your company. Now, the second one is learn from the top income earners. And something I think is really important to point out here, just because somebody has an amazing Instagram doesn't mean they're a top earner. Just because somebody has a higher rank than you doesn't mean they're making more money than you. Again, if you go back to that comp plan, you can have a 40K making more money than a 200K. If you know, who has placement volume, who has the level ones that are working, like it all shakes out. So don't just start following somebody because they're 200K and they have a really pretty Instagram. Actually find out who are the top earners in this company. We all know Maria is the top earner of the company, but I always find it interesting when we go to Thrive Palooza and they pull people up on stage. They pull people up there and I'm like, never heard of that person, never even seen that person, but they're up there getting an award because they're working their business. They may not have a fancy Instagram, but they're doing something to work their business. Or maybe they do have a fancy Instagram and you just don't know who they are yet. So that's the kind of stuff you're going to want to look for. And then you can start to see like how they're running their business. So you're going to learn from them. A point that she makes, which I thought was really great, she said, this is the one business that you can be a copycat. You just have to make sure you're copying the right cat. And so think about that. When you're looking and you're like, wow, I wish, like, I know so many of us love M. Henning. She's 26 or 27, I think. Long blonde hair, brand new mom. I can't copy that, right? I can't copy her exactly. We'll get to the way I can use her for inspiration, but just make sure that you're not getting sucked in by the picture of something. Like truly find out who's earning money. So then you can start learning from them. The other thing when you're learning, make sure you're staying current. So I hear it all the time. I don't know how to use Canva. I don't know how to use Instagram. You guys, guess what? I didn't know either. I had to Google it. I had to YouTube it. It is your job to stay current in life. Like whether you are working your Lavelle business or not, you want to stay current in life. So if you're like, man, I wish I could whip up a graphic. Like I all the time, well, I can't do a live because I can't do a graphic. Well, A, you don't have to have a graphic for a live. But B, why can't you do a graphic? Figure it out, practice, play around with it. I mean, do you know how many bad graphics I made before I figured out how to make a decent graphic? You just have to figure it out. You have to learn. You have to be dedicated to learning. You hear that all the time, like leaders are learners. And I think a lot of times we associate that with making a big paycheck, which it can be, but it's also not accepting that you don't know something. Did you see mine? It's pretty bad. I did not see, did you just post it? Last night. Okay, I'll have to go back through. Like I haven't. You guys remember, I don't follow all of you. I don't follow all my Thrivers. I'm trying to use my Facebook time properly. On occasion, I will scroll and start looking at people's stuff, but I miss a lot of that stuff. So if you ever are like, gosh, I wonder if this is okay, or why didn't she comment or something, like send me a message, let me know, because I may not have seen it. Okay. So yeah, so make sure you're staying current. And then the other thing to think about when you're looking at people, and I think this happens to a lot of us, I'll use Maria as an example. You know, oh, well, Maria is this and Maria is that, and I can't do that. Okay, she is your example of why you can. Don't compare and don't be jealous of someone's success. They are not your competition. They are your example. So remember, when you're looking at a top leader and you're looking to learn from them, get rid of all comparison and all jealousy. Just study them, like study them. Study what they do. I don't mean like stalk them and dye your hair the same color, but study what they do. How often are they posting? Who are they talking to? What, what's the feeling? Yeah, be you. We're getting there. I promise. So just remember, like they are your example, not your competition. Okay, hang on. I just literally walked in the door and got on this thing. Okay. So now that you're learning from this person, we're going to talk about the I. It's implement. So we've done L, we've done I, implement. You're going to start implementing what you learn, because how many times have we said that, you can watch all the Zooms, you can go to Thrive Palooza, You can follow these, you can start studying these top leaders, but if you don't put stuff into action, then it's all a waste of time. I'm the first person, I will tell you, in the last 6 years of, I think, the 5 Thrive Paloozas that we've gone to, I have seen people go to Thrive Palooza and literally quit their business the day we get back. And I've seen people go to Thrive Palooza and then go home and do what they learned. So just because you go and just because you learn doesn't mean that it's going to magically happen. You have to implement it. And the trickiest part, I think, is you have to be consistent with that implementation. If you start studying someone and you're like, okay, I'm noticing that they're doing a live twice a week. You can't just do it one week. You got to be consistent. You got to do those twice a week. Like if you go back and look, have they been doing 2 lives a week for the last 4 years? Guess what? You're going to need to do 2 lives for the next 4 years. You got to be consistent with what you implement, because if you try to implement, I don't know, one way, 1 week, and then the next way, another week, you're just going to be all over the board. You've got to be consistent with what you're doing. A quote that she had that I loved: the speed of implementation creates group momentum. The speed of implementation creates group momentum. So think about that, leaders. If you're like, man, we got to start doing reels on Instagram, and I'm guilty of this, and you dive in and you're making reels, then you quit, you can't expect your team to keep doing reels, right? So the speed of your implementation will create your group momentum. And if you want your group to be on fire and get going and be moving, you've got to be moving too. And you have to do it consistently. So when you study that person in the learning process and you find something you want to implement, do it and be consistent with it. Another thing that came, so she kind of was all over the place during this one, but during implementation, when you're implementing, say, the lives or the opportunity Zooms or whatever you want to call them, you're doing this for a reason, right? You're either trying to recruit a customer or you're trying to recruit a new promoter. And I love what she said. She said, recruit, recruit, recruit until you get the right fruit. And so I think a lot of times we're like, well, I got this new customer, but they disappeared. I got this new promoter, but they disappeared. Recruit, 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 recruit. Your job is to be consistent in what you're doing to keep recruiting the people. When the people come, they're going to do what they're going to do. You guys all know that. You've all seen that. Some people show up, they are amazing, they stick around, they do great things, and then some people show up and they disappear. So you can't fall in love with your team. You can love your team. You hear that all the time, love them where they're at. That's where that comes from. You can love them, but don't fall in love with them. Fall in love with the process of building your business, because your team will change. All right, so our first T is tweak. All right, so we've got learn, implement, and tweak. So now that you've studied the person and you know the parts that you want to implement, you're going to have to tweak them so that they're more you. Like I was saying, I don't want you to copy and paste word for word everything that somebody, not Fruit Loops. I don't want you to copy and paste everything. Like, let's say you're studying Maria and you're like, wow, she's got this great post. Okay, make your own version of it. Because it won't sound like you if it's all written in Maria, and people smell that. Like you guys know that when you're reading through and you're like, oh, that's a great post. She stole that from someone because that doesn't sound anything like her. Like, we've all done it. We're all guilty of it. And I know that when I'm scrolling through, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a good post. I wonder who she got that from. Like, you can just tell, right? So if we can tell, your friends who truly know you inside and out can totally tell that that's not you. But so you want to tweak everything you're learning, but don't recreate the wheel. That's the tricky part. A lot of times people will they'll be like, well, so-and-so did this and it worked so good, so I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. If what they were doing worked great, do what they're doing. Just do it in your own voice. So an example she gave was like, if you want to tweak a recipe, if the recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, you don't say, well, I'm just going to make it with half a cup of sugar. You might use brown sugar, or you might use stevia or something like that to tweak the recipe, but you don't leave out an entire ingredient, right? So don't recreate the wheel, just tweak it so it's more like you. Also, don't go against the grain of what you're learning. And I think this happens to us a lot. For example, and I'm not picking on Maria, I just know you guys all know who I'm talking about. But like, maybe somebody sees stories that Maria is doing, and they're like, okay, I'm going to implement that. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, bag it. That's not going to work for me. First of all, you're losing your consistency. And secondly, the only reason you would ditch it is if you started to compare yourself, right? You're like, well, I can't do that. She has success with that because she's Maria. She has success with that because she's done this longer. She has success with that because she lives in a warm state and I live in a cold state. Like you start comparing and you go against the grain of what you've learned. Don't count yourself out. Don't learn a great technique and then not do it because you think you can't do it. You got to stick with what you're learning. My handwriting gets really small and really bad on this. Oh, shoot. Okay. So the other thing that she talked about, like on the tweaking part, which I always want to say twerk, but it's tweak. On the tweaking part is when you're taking something you've learned and you're going to tweak it for you, you have to know who you are because you have to know who you are trying to attract. So if I take, like I deal with this a lot. So there's always like these great posts about moms, back to school moms, busy moms, whatever. I'm not a mom. Like I will see the points made, but I can't just copy and paste that. Nor do I want to just take it out and call it a dog mom. But I can take the idea and I can remember who I want to talk to. So one of my 5 things is small business owners, right? So I might look at a busy mom post, but now I have to decide how to tweak it so it goes to the people I want to talk to. So not only do I need to tweak it to my voice, I need to tweak it to the ears of the people I'm trying to reach. Does that make sense? You gotta know who you're trying to talk to. Because here's the thing, if you try to keep your post super general and make everybody happy, you can't make everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. I'm sorry to tell you. If I'm the first one to tell you that, I'm sorry to drop that bomb on you. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like you. There are people that are not going to like me. I'm going to be too loud. I'm going to be too blunt. I'm going to be too, know your audience. Exactly, Courtney. I'm going to be too Tammy. I'm going to be too much for some people. And that's okay because I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the people who want too much Tammy in their life. I don't know how to say that, but I'm not talking to that group. So if you make it in your voice and then you make it for the ears of the people you want, that's where you're going to be more successful. Okay, so we've learned it, we've implemented, we're tweaking it. Now our second T is teach. Okay, so if you've learned these great things and you've implemented them consistently and you've tweaked them so that they're you, so they're now working for you, now you want to teach your team. But here's the tricky thing, and I love how she said this. Too many people are talking about what to do and not doing it. Your team needs to see you in action. I'm a huge believer in living by example. I don't ask people to do stuff I'm not willing to do too. Right? If I say we should be doing lives, or we should be going live in our story, or we should be having locals, or we should be blah, 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 I'm doing it too. Right? If I say, hey, let's do 30 reach outs, I'm doing 30 reach outs too. So when you go to teach your team, I think the most powerful way to teach a team is to show a team. So if you're like, I hear it all the time, my team's not doing this, my team's not doing that. Well, I'm going to go back to recruit till you get the right fruit. You don't have the right fruit yet. So keep recruiting. You have to keep implementing. You may not be in a point in your business where you're going to teach anybody anything yet. And you guys, I'm going to tell you, having done this for 6 years now, it ebbs and flows. There are times where I'm not trying to teach anybody. I'm just trying to find customers. I'm out there recruiting for new promoters. And then we'll reach a point where I'm like, okay, I got to teach these people because they're new. And then half of them leave and half of them don't need me anymore. I got to go find new people. So you're constantly going, if you ever stop and say, wow, I built my team. No, that's not how it works. Your team is not going to be with you forever. Some people might, but the whole team won't. I think I used the example, this might've been at the leader retreat, might not have been on a thing, but like, like the garage bands that start when the kids are in high school. And like, then they're awesome all through high school. And then they get to college and one kid has to go to like a college far, far, far away. And so he doesn't get to be in the band anymore. And then they're playing gigs in college and they pick up a new guy. And then one of the original guys, he has to drop out of college. So anyway, by the time they make the big time, like by the time this band goes from the garage band to the big time, like there's like one original member left. You got to think of your team that way. The longevity of your team depends on you. People will come and go. So make sure you are doing the business and you're implementing all the time consistently so your team can just copy you. Like I want to become the top earner that the team copies. That should be our goal, right? You want to be the top earner that your team copies. Like when someone's like, hey, how, pick a top earner in your company. They should be like, oh, It's my girl Sandra, signed up under her. That's her. I'm going to follow her, right? Like you want to be that person. And then the why comes down to yes, right? This is the yes. This is where we celebrate our job. This is where we celebrate our team. This is where we celebrate us. Actually, the why, like yes, and for you. So you keep going, right? So you keep going. So what are you going to do when you get to the why? You're going to shimmy back up to the top. You're going to keep learning from people. You're going to keep implementing. You're going to keep tweaking and teaching. And then you're going to keep showing up. It's you and the yes. When people see you being consistent and authentic in that tweaking process, when you make it authentic to you, that's when people are going to start coming to you and saying, yes, yes, I want to try that product you've talked about. Yes, I want to join that team that you've talked about. Yes, I'm interested in that auto bonus that I keep hearing about. Yes, I want to go to that Thrive Palooza with you. But it all, the why, the yes, all comes back to the why of you. You have to keep showing up. You have to keep being you. You have to keep pushing forward. Because again, your business relies 1,000% on you. People who want, this, my handwriting is really bad. Oh, I think I wrote people who want to come to you will come, something like that. So the more you can have the yes, I'm doing my Liddy, the yes, I'm being me, the more you're going to be attracting people to you. So those are my notes. Look how bad that handwriting is, but by golly, I made it through there. What do you guys think of that? Does that make sense to you? Like when you get frustrated tomorrow or the next day or earlier today, you can be like, you know what? I'm going to get Liddy. I'm going to get Liddy. Like I've been telling myself that for 3 days. I'm going to get Liddy. Like anytime I'm like, oh, somebody, I don't know, just it's a really weird day. Well, like, you know, X, Y, Z happened in my head. I'm like, I'm going to get Liddy. I'm just going to get Liddy. I'm going to learn something real quick. I'm going to implement it. I'm going to stick with it. Like to me, I just love having that little, I don't know, get lit, you know, something to rely on to bring me back. Is there anything you guys would add to that? Working on the horrible graphic last night, I was like, I'm not giving up my time. Yes, you were getting Liddy. I love it. I love it. You were going for the yes. You stayed in it until the end. And I think that's good. It makes me want to go look for your graphic right now. You guys unmute, talk to me, type to me, talk to me, all that jazz. I'm done typing.
I said, it's not pretty, but I did it.
That, you know what? That's what matters. I did it. The last part of that sentence is the most important part of that entire sentence. I did it. Every single time it will get better. Why don't I see a graphic?
In my stories.
Oh, my bad. I'm on your page. I wonder if it's still there. This? You made this? Oh, where's my? You made that? That is not bad at all. I actually saw that earlier. I just thought it was something you copied from like Lavelle. My 3 favorites, 2 days only. You get these for $99. See, and that, so here's a perfect case. Oh, let me turn that down. That's the rest of your story. Where she was counting herself out and doubting it. And here I saw it already and didn't realize she even made it.
I haven't seen. I'm
See,
trying to find it.
it's in her story. We are our worst critics. So instead of counting ourselves out, which you didn't count yourself out, so I appreciate that, Sonia, you kept going. And maybe there's something about that graphic that you don't like. I don't know what it is because I think it looks really good. But whatever it is, you'll do something different next time. Like you'll be like, I didn't like that graphic. I don't know, maybe, I don't know why you don't like it. It's really good. But whatever it is, each time you'll get better and better to where you like them more and more. And remember, the more you like the graphic, there's going to be people that don't like it. But that's okay. Those aren't your people. Right? I'm sure I make graphics that people don't like. What's up, Lisa?
Well, yesterday I did that live on my walk. And I mean, they don't make me sick to my stomach like they used to. I got done, I ended the video and I was like, yay me.
Yes, exactly. So, and that's part of the being consistent with your implementation. The more you do it, the better it gets. One of my friends was like, I saw your story the other day. You're so good talking on your story. And I was like, my story? Like, what was I talking about? She was like, your nephew's football game got canceled. I'm like, oh, like to me, that doesn't even faze me. Like, I'll tell the whole world it got canceled, but to her, she was like, I couldn't get on there and do that. I couldn't talk. So like, you have to remember, like we've all come from a different place. I didn't used to like to talk on my stories. I would delete it, start over, delete it, start over. And now I'm just like, blah, 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 So the more you do it, the better it's going to get for you. And that's being consistent. And that's showing up for your team. Like, I want to look back someday, or I want you guys to be able to look back someday and be like, gosh, look at these graphics Tammy did in 2015. They were so bad. But look at them now. Right. And then here's the thing. Once you we're mastering graphics. Well, what's happening now? Now we have to learn how to master videos. Ugh. Like, it's the whole, you just got to keep staying current and keep learning. What else? Anybody else? Anybody like this, Liddy? We getting Liddy?
Well, and like today, I realized it was Make It Monday. Well, I wasn't making anything today because we cooked yesterday. So I was like, I need to go live, and the weather's changed. So we got lots of stuff to talk about. So I was like, instead of Make It Monday, make it somebody's day.
Oh, I like
And
it.
so I talked about going to the post office with my Happy Mail and my Happy Packs and blah, 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 blah. And, so I was like, so instead of Make It Monday, make somebody's day.
Yeah, no, and I love that. So you didn't give up on your plan. You stuck with it, which means you're being consistent. And I know because people have asked before. They wait for your Make It Monday. So I love that you didn't give up on it. Olivia, oh, sorry. I just saw you popped on screen. I thought you wanted to talk, but you're cooking. Go ahead. Go on with your bad self. Keep cooking for those kids. Anybody else want to type or unmute and talk to me? I see face. Okay.
Okay, so I need to do, it's been on my not vision board, it's been in my planner for like 2 months to do reels. So yesterday morning, I got out of the shower and I was like, I had watched a couple videos, but I've not done it. So I got on Instagram and I did it. And then I found the music, and then I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing. And I videoed it.
Don't you feel like you feel silly? Like, I felt so silly the first couple
So
of
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
But
post it?
I did not, because I didn't have graphic and I didn't have my product. But I feel like now I can do that because I went through like the steps.
You did like a dress rehearsal.
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't have on any makeup. My hair was wild. I had my glasses on. I still had my pajamas on.
Well, I will tell you this, and I know people will back me on this, especially Sonia. The reels that you make that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't have my makeup on, my hair was crazy, I was still in my pajamas, will do 10 times better than the reels that you really think out. It's amazing. The more time I spend on a reel, the less views it gets. Keep that in mind. But I do understand, like, it's your first reel. And you guys remember on reels and TikToks, there's that draft button. So you can record and you can just save it in your drafts. You don't have to commit to it in the moment. Because I think sometimes when you're making it and then you watch it, but then like you go back 2 days later, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I'm just going to run with it. You got to kind of come out of that moment. So don't forget, you can always save those as drafts. But I love the dress rehearsal idea because, again, that's a version of practicing. You got to practice till you get perfect. Repetition.
Hey, I literally posted did a reel of Cooper dancing because he keeps every morning he interrupts me in the kitchen. He comes and interrupts me all the time. So I literally, like, he's snorting at me. I'm like, what do you want? So I did a reel. I'm like, and he walks back towards the bedroom. So then I like, you want to go to bed with daddy? It got 5,100 views, 5,100 and something views.
And that was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandra, were you going to say something?
No, well, that one reel, or no, that one TikTok I did that didn't have music. It was me talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's still climbing. It's got over 1,200 some odd views. Maybe I should have done one of Gunnar doing his messy on my carpet. Maybe no telling how many views I'd have gotten of that one.
Oh, you get a ton. So when you're using your own voice, that's considered original audio, and they like that. They'll push those because that means that it's your idea, it's your thought, it's more authentic. Because they get those trends like where, I mean, I don't know, like the oh no song where you show something bad happening, or like the whole climbing the milk crate thing right now. Good God. But so like they'll push the trends for a little bit, but they know trends are trends and people get bored with them. But when it's your original video, they're like, oh, well, let's see what this person has to say or what they're talking about. So keep that in mind. A lot of the stuff that you guys are putting in your stories could easily pass as a reel also. So don't overthink it. Like multi-use. Okay, well, it's 8 o'clock. We've been on here for half an hour. I hope that was helpful. I hope when you get frustrated and flustered, or you're like, what do I do? You can be like, I'm going to get Liddy. Like literally, Liddy, this is your job. Just learn, implement, tweak it to make it right for you, teach it to your team by example, and then be you and get the yes. That is our job in a nutshell. So I'll put the recording up. You guys have a great night. Bye.